Okay, Miss Kai Holtz, I know I totally just butchered your name, but this is going to be a really awkward presentation because it's kind of hard to hold and, like, do the whole thing, but I'm going to make it work. So, my exhibit is over the changing roles of women from 1930 to 2000, and I started with the year 1932 with Amelia Earhart. She's depicted right here, standing on her airplane. And in May of 1932, Amelia Earhart became the first woman to ever fly across the Atlantic Ocean alone. Earhart was a record-setting pilot and also the beginning of the movement towards women's rights in the early 1900s. In this time, women were not seen as equal, nor were they treated that way. Earhart made a statement with her accomplishments, one that shows that women can do anything that a man can do. This flight lasted a total of 14 hours and 56 minutes, a record flight. Unfortunately, Earhart attempted to fly across the Pacific alone and her plane had crashed. Amelia Earhart was officially accounted lost at sea in 1937. Sorry, y'all. So then we come here to 1944, and right here is a picture of a bunch of women in the Marines. In the start of World War II, our military was struggling to find enough men to draft in order to be successful for the war. In 1944, the Marine Corps had allowed for women to enlist, making the Marines the last branch to accept both women and men. The women in these positions did not necessarily engage in combat, but their roles as nurses, medics, technicians, and operators were still vital to the war. It was astounding how many women actually did enlist in the military, as this was pretty taboo at the time. By 1945, there had been over 17,640 women enlisted in the Marines and 820 officers. A few years later, in 1948, women were then allowed to be active duty officers, whether they were in the States or across the sea. This opened up many opportunities for women and gave us freedom to expand our knowledge of the world rather than just the home. Then here, we have entered the World War II era, and this is Rosie the Riveter. And I'm sure if you've ever studied history or paid attention in your history class, you've seen this poster many times. This poster was used as propaganda because people, as the men left the country to be drafted, many jobs opened up in the workforce and women had to take over. This poster is to encourage this average stay-at-home mom/woman to join the workforce and make a difference. This poster was very influential as it caused a lot of women to start the workforce. This is significant to women history because it's the first time to have ever opened the opportunity to be fully involved in the workforce. After that, we go down here, which is also a World War II era, and this depicts the women in the workforce and what they did. As you can see, World War II was a very big time for women, and as I've presented 3 different exhibits of women's changing roles during this time. Like I said before, Rosie the Riveter propaganda had influenced many women to join the workforce, but what exactly did they do? Prior to World War II, women had been limited to the jobs that were more feminine, such as baking, sewing, delivering, and other basic jobs. But now they were finally getting the chance to do something more. Some 5 million women joined the workforce at home, and some would say they had a greater economic impact than the man usually did. Women took over the jobs of firefighters, train and tram conductors, mechanics, war operators, factory workers, ammunition specialists, and also warcraft technicians. These jobs were primarily seen as masculine and too hard for women to handle, but women proved them wrong in no time. Over here, we skip up to 1959, and this is a picture of Jerry Cobb. And in 1950, space studies had increased significantly, which had opened up the new opportunities for women in sciences and mathematics. Space travel hadn't been accomplished yet, but the research for it had started somewhere. In 1959, Jerry Cobb became one of the first few women to work with space travel and space studies. Cobb was a trained pilot before entering NASA program, and she had ranked in the top 2% among other men and women. Oh, I'm sorry, this is so awkward. She worked with NASA for a total of 3 years before escaping to the Amazon. This time was a time